Welcome to Flourish, the podcast for faith-driven mompreneurs who are ready to release overwhelm, create sustainable, healthy habits, and build purpose-driven businesses aligned with their faith, family, and vision. I'm Stephanie Book, a transformational mindset, wellness, and business coach. I'm here to equip you with the tools, mindset shifts, and encouragement to help you flourish. If you're ready to grow a thriving life and business while staying aligned with your faith, purpose, and priorities, you're in the right place. You are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Flourish Podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm so glad that you are here. I am super excited today because I have a very special guest, someone that's near and dear to my heart, to share our conversation today. And I'm so excited about you getting to meet Laurie Dufresne. She has been part of my growth journey for a long time, almost 8 years since I met her. And it's crazy to think that. And now I am so excited that I get to invite you into a conversation with her. So Laurie Dufresne, life and mindset coach of 13 years. She's helped women and men find freedom, confidence, and balance in their lives. She's the creator of Break Free from Limiting Beliefs and the author of her new workbook available on Amazon. Laurie, I just am so excited and honored to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you, Stephanie. When you said 8 years, I'm just like, wow, does time fly? This has been amazing.
Absolutely. It's hard for me to believe. Yeah, January will be 8 years. So I'm rounding it up a little bit, but seriously, that is, it's amazing. And to think how far really both of us have come in those 8 years. It's really amazing. So, so excited to have you here. So, I'm just excited to jump right in. We have lots of things we want to talk about, but I would just love to know what's in your heart right now for women who feel stuck or weighted down by limiting beliefs.
Well, I just want you to know that you're not alone.
Mhm.
And I think I'll speak for you and I both, Stephanie. We have an ongoing joke that Stephanie's my mini me. So
Right.
And I think that's part of the battle, right? Like that we feel like we're the only ones going through it.
Mm,
And that is, I think, the most important thing that I want to get across with speaking, especially to women, because that's where my
mm,
heart is. Sometimes we put everybody else above us, and we are the heroes that just jump in to save the day for everybody. I want to help here. I want to do this. And we just put ourselves last. And I think there's a
mm,
lot that's attached to that, right? There's a lot
mm,
that is, I'm not worth it,
mm,
um, or I don't have what it takes, or I'm just gonna sit aside here and let another person that's more qualified lead. And that's where my heart is for women, especially. I mean, of
mhm,
course, I work with men and women, but especially for women because I know there and I've been there. And I
mhm,
just want you to know, like, there is hope. I think for me, it took somebody believing in me.
mhm,
It took somebody that really saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And if you're sitting there and if you're listening and you just maybe don't feel that you're qualified to do anything or that maybe you have no value to bring, I
mhm,
want you to know that, well, this is a space that we can bring God into the equation
mhm,
and knowing that when we stop listening to what maybe the world has
mhm,
said things about us and we start listening more to what God has laid on us and his purpose that he brought us into this earth to
mhm,
fulfill, that's what I hope is that most women out there that are listening are going to start listening more to what God says about them and not maybe what the
mhm,
world or maybe their past experience say about them.
mhm.
So we're going
Yeah.
heavy. We're starting out
Right.
really heavy this
That's
time.
okay. I don't think we have many conversations that don't just jump in right like that. So
It's just who I am.
I
I
said,
have
you're
no other
invited.
way.
It's okay. Invited. And honestly, like anyone that's been listening to my journey, you'll a lot of things you're saying, different ways to say it, but the same thing. I'm saying the same type of message over and over again because that's a journey that I've walked through as well. And so we speak the most about the things that we've learned and that we've walked through. And I think we're excited about talking about the ways that we have walked through this so that we can help other people because it's not fun being in that section of just feeling so down on ourselves and just feeling like we're not enough, not equipped to do the things that I think that God will lay in our hearts, but then we will shelter it or we'll stop it from happening because of the beliefs or the limiting beliefs that we're like hanging over our heads. So it's definitely a good thing to jump in and get deep and share this because if it helps one person, then it's worth every bit of vulnerability I think that we step into to do that. So
And one thing I
yeah.
always like to say too, Stephanie, is that I mean, I have written a workbook on this, I've created a course on this, and I'm still in the work. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't go away, which is so
Right.
crazy. It's really
Yeah.
more of like recognizing it, and then
Hmm.
we're not getting so emotional about the way we're thinking or the way we're showing up. Like I get
Right.
nervous doing things like this. It's still,
Yeah.
I regress back into my old self, but then I'm like, no,
Hmm.
I've proven it to myself time and time again.
Hmm.
And I hope that that's the hope that we're giving you today
Right.
is that it's still there.
Hmm.
It's just what are we going to do with that information? So
Right.
I just want to say
Absolutely.
that Stephanie and I are fully in the middle of it, in the thick of it every single
Right.
day. It's just the
Yes.
more we try to break through it, the more we understand, like, okay, we're not going to die. We're going to get through this and we're going to hopefully come out stronger on the other end. So.
That's right. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Uh, so just tell us a little bit about your journey. Like what led you to create the course and workbook? I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but get in a little bit more in detail about all of that.
Yeah, so the majority of my life, I have been just really shy, very insecure, no confidence. I truly lived the majority of my life feeling like I had no value to bring. And you know what's crazy about that is I had a beautiful upbringing. You
Hmm.
know, I'm so it's crazy because some people have had some really hard past,
Right.
and that's not my story. However, you could take a little girl who's the youngest of five children, and all my siblings were older than me. So I hung out with my parents in an adult world, right? So I
Hmm.
didn't have like a lot of friends. I just hung out with my mom and dad. I went and visited their friends. So what does a little 5-year-old have to say when she's surrounded in an atmosphere of all adults? Not a whole lot. And
Right.
isn't it crazy that something like that could really impact me to be, my mom would always say, and they'd be like, "Oh, Lori, you're so sweet. You're so cute hanging out with your parents and all the things." And my mom very innocently would say, "Oh, she's just so shy."
Hmm.
I heard those words to be truth, and I have the most unbelievable relationship with my mom. She has recently passed, but I have
Hmm.
so much love for her. And I know that those words were just innocent words. As parents, we do the best with what we've been given, and she didn't
Hmm.
understand the impact of what that word can mean on my life. Now,
Hmm.
as an adult, I'm 54 years old now, and for the past 30, well, I guess 23, 25 years have been really rolling up my sleeves into personal development and understanding.
Hmm.
So I'm on the other side of it, and I know now that that happened for me in a way that I was given the opportunity through God's partnership and helping me and showing me and putting opportunities and people in my path to show me that I could overcome this. And I truly, fully believe that this is my calling in this world
Hmm.
is to help the people that don't believe in themselves, to help people to see themselves through God's eyes, to help
Hmm.
people understand that maybe what words have told us that maybe things that we are not true. And I hate to give power to the enemy, but I will say those are the words of the enemy because
Right.
he knows how powerful we are, what God put us on this earth to do for him and to
Hmm.
glorify God in all of these moments. Um, on the other side of that, in my journey, I look back at my past with gratitude. I'm
Hmm.
so thankful because I am who I am today, and God has laid this on my heart because I know that this is so that I can be a voice to help other women and men to break free from these things. And I searched my whole life, Stephanie, to find my gifts because I always thought people
Hmm.
were smarter than me, prettier than me. They could speak better than me. They could carry conversations better than me. All
Hmm.
of the things. It was always in comparison.
Hmm.
And over the last 13 years, I've been given the opportunity to partner with people in coaching, and what that has given to me is realizing that we are all more alike than we are different. So I've had the opportunity to work with CEOs of companies. I've had the opportunity to work with stay-at-home moms or whoever, every walk of life,
Hmm.
I've had the opportunity. And what that's done is it awakened me to say it doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter. We've all got these underlying beliefs that are holding us
Mhm.
back. And that is what has ignited a fire in me to help people break free from this because it's I searched and I searched and I searched like, God, what is my gift? I would pray, God, please help me to make an impact in this world. And I don't know what it's going to look like. And I am just this small little person and I don't know how to help people. I just know that I love people. And over the 13 years of really partnering with people, I saw one thing come up. People would always say to me, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for loving me through this. Thank
Mhm.
you for helping me to break free from this. And I realized in that process is that the one thing that I had, my biggest gift was my heart, and that was enough.
Mhm.
And that is what leads me every single day because I'm never going to be the smartest person in the room. I'm never going to be the prettiest person or the most successful person or any of these things, but it's not a comparison game. And that's something that's really shifted
Mhm.
in my life. It's I'm going to stay in my own lane and that is going to be chasing God. That is going to be
Mhm.
chasing his calling on my life, his purpose, and I have to just fully surrender and
Mhm.
understand that in the moments of surrender when I feel so weak and I feel like I don't have what it takes and I'm nervous to speak or I'm all of the things or I'm
Mhm.
so nervous to launch this book. We'll talk more about that later in the course. And it's in those moments that I'm on my knees saying, God, I am not strong enough to do this, but
Right.
you are. And how are you going to show me? How are you going to give me an opportunity to glorify you in this whole process? And you
Mhm.
know what? That's what life's all about.
Yeah,
That is what life is
absolutely.
all about. And that's what led me to want to do this and get it on paper and get it in a course where I could verbally like share to, one of my mentors told me once, Lori, if you need to keep repeating yourself over and over again, you need a system for it.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what this is. That's what led me
Right.
to do this. I wanted to create a
Mhm.
system that it doesn't matter what country you live in, it doesn't matter what time zone you're in,
Mhm.
that I could make myself available in a way that can give people structure and systems to know how to see what's happening in their life, how to break free from it, how to lean into God and
Mhm.
surrender this to Him so He can show us what He is working in us so that we can glorify Him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, I know some of your story, and so it's like I hear this, and I love the idea of that growth of from the comparison because I think that is definitely the place where I would spend a lot of my time in that comparison, so not measuring up, and so uh, hearing, and then when I finally realized, like it's not about me or if I'm measuring up to other people, but really in that own lane of what God where God wants me, and when was I able to surrender all that and be like, okay, God, you are in control. You've equipped me for what you want me to do. It's just made such a shift and a change as I was able to work through this, but go through the process of working through identifying those negative thoughts, those negative lies that I would speak over and over and over. So it's just I love that you're doing this because it does give that a good framework of how to work through that. Because I've been on that journey, with you and on my own as I've continued to grow. But to have a plan out for other people to be able to walk through that, it's amazing. So I love that you are doing this, and I love it. I mean, it just comes naturally for you because of your faith, but I love how you can move, just recognize what God is doing in your life and how He has equipped you. How does faith play into identifying and overcoming your limiting beliefs? How do you think that takes place in this journey of releasing these limiting beliefs and moving into reframing them?
Yeah. Well, I think what's really important is asking yourself, do I want to do this alone? How has that worked for me in the past? Right? Because
Right.
I feel like it's like two sides of the story here. Like in this direction, like I've got this. I'm strong enough. I'm going to do this all on my own. I got it figured out. And then we get this internal conversation and then the limiting beliefs start popping in. Well, I'm not good enough. Who do I think I am to do this? And I don't
Mhm.
have enough this and I'm not smart enough in this area. I don't know technology. I don't know all of these things. Like we're playing a game all by ourselves right here.
Mhm.
And we're focusing on willpower, right? Like we're focusing on our own willpower to help us to
Mhm.
figure this out. Now, I always like to say, I mean, prove it to yourself. Go back and think about different times in your life where you've tried to do
Mhm.
it all alone. The noise in our mind is so consuming. It
Mhm.
is mind blowing when I'm left alone to my own devices and my own mind and my own
Mhm.
past beliefs about myself of what I think is possible that I can go out and do. It doesn't go very well. I'm going to be
No.
very, it
Right.
doesn't. And what I've learned through practice and repetition, like what I'm talking about, what you're talking about, Stephanie, like full surrender, it's really easy when we think about it and we're like, oh, yeah, that's all we got to do. We got to surrender. It is the hardest thing to do.
Mhm. Right.
It is the
Yeah.
hardest thing to do. And why is that? Like you think about like we know the answer. The answer is always Jesus. The answer
Right.
is always like the calling. He's teaching us in every situation. Why is it so hard for us to do that? Because we are leaning upon ourselves.
Right.
If we can get into a new habit of just letting it go and surrendering, God, I am not strong enough to do this without you.
Right.
And then we look in the other direction and we realize that upon our faith is when God is going to take over and it's like
Mhm.
arms open. I can't do this. I'm scared. I don't believe in myself. I don't have what it takes. But when God takes over and we silence our
Mhm.
mind, I think that is like, I'm just telling you the practical tips that I use in this. I got to go to complete silence. And for me, it's worship music. That's what really
Mhm.
clears my mind. So you kind of want to think about what it is for you.
Mhm.
What silences your mind? Is it going for a walk?
Right.
Is it sitting down and actually praying? Is it journaling and writing a Dear God letter? Letting
Right.
it all out. For me,
Mhm.
it's worship and it clears my mind. I love to go for a walk. I love to have morning time every day. I call it like a reset in the morning where I just have
Mhm.
time with God. And in those moments, I'm clearing my mind and I'm listening to Him. And I call it like the creative process with God. And
Mhm.
that's where things start happening. That's where ideas start
Right.
coming. That's where um, I start feeling like I'm hearing His words on my life
Mhm.
and I feel peace.
Right.
So I kind of gauge it like that. When I feel
Mhm.
anxiety, I feel like it's the lies that I'm listening to.
Yeah.
I slow down and I hear God and what He's trying to say to me and how He's trying to love me and bless me.
Mhm.
And then it's like I almost feel like it feels like a magic carpet ride. This is the way I
Mhm.
explain it. That I'm walking
Mhm.
on with God and I'm just these ideas are flowing and this peace is happening and hope is filling my heart and ideas start sparking and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, and this is what I want to do and this is what we're going to do, God." And it's just it's when you're allowing your faith in that full surrender moment, everything changes and you start
Mhm.
finding purpose in that process.
Right.
And I think it's when we're thinking about ourselves, it feels more selfish
Mhm.
because we're thinking about ourselves. Everything is focusing on us. Well, I'm going to look stupid and what do I
Mhm.
know and all of this. But when we're focusing on God in this direction, then it's really it's more about how can I bless others? How are you going to bless me so I can bless others? And
Right.
that's when the lies start you're peeling them off left and right because you
Mhm.
trust that in partnership with God and allowing him to do that, he's going to give you the strength. He's going
Right.
to give you the all of the things that you don't believe. You don't need to believe those things about yourself.
Right. Right.
Just let God do his work. So faith
Yeah.
is everything in that.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's so many things you say or things that I have said over and over again, like here on the podcast and stuff, because it is true. And I had a guest that was on and she was talking about like the different steps of surrender. And the first one is like recognizing that you can't do it all on your own. So you're saying that you're going to give this to God, but then you're also still trying to hold the control. And you're like, no, that's not, God wants us to release it. No, hey, I'm not doing any of this because unless it's you. It's only you that's doing this all through me. And so you let that go. And then it's like, okay, now use me, God. And you're more open because you're not trying to control it. Because I think we just try to control. And I think part of that does come from those negative thoughts that are coming in through our mind because those thoughts speak so loudly that sometimes we're hearing those thoughts more than that quiet allowing God's to speak. And so then it blinds us and then we all we hear is those negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, and then we're right back where we are. where we're stuck and we're not moving forward. And yeah, so it's a definitely an ongoing practice to do that. But I think it gets more a little more easy or easier as you continue to do that. It becomes, you recognize it faster, and then you walk through it and you're like, okay, because you've worked through that through the tools. They're still there, and those limiting beliefs still pop up. But as you go through this process and learn, then you're able to be like, okay, recognize, wait, that's not true. Let's go back to God and let's get it straightened back out. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so what would you say is one limiting belief that you see women of faith struggle with the most?
I'm not enough.
Hmm.
Hands down, every
Hmm.
time. And it's like I'm not a good enough mom, I'm not a good enough wife, I'm not a good enough leader, I'm not a good
Hmm.
enough employee, I'm not a good enough friend. It's crazy to me.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah.
breaks my heart so bad. And that's something
Hmm.
that I battle with still every single day.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it doesn't go away.
Right.
And that's the heartbreaking part of it. And what's crazy about it, and we didn't really touch on this yet, but it's just like, where do these thoughts even come from? You know?
Hmm.
And I
Right.
think that's so important when people are wanting to learn how to break through this and get to that place of openness, even to surrender, is it's important to understand like how they're impacting your life.
Hmm.
First of all, what is it holding you back from?
Hmm.
Is that I'm not enough holding you back from being deserving of a wonderful relationship? Is it holding you back from stepping into a career path that maybe you're too scared to step into because you think you're not enough?
Hmm.
Really think about that. And that's the most important piece, I think, is the number one, is create an awareness around what's going on here.
Hmm.
Why does this keep showing up in my life? It's very
Hmm.
important to do that. And where
Yeah.
did it even come from? Did somebody say
Right.
something to you? And if you think about, like, it could be an experience. Most of these limiting beliefs are instilled in us before we're 8 years old. Is that
Hmm.
crazy?
That's
So,
crazy. Yeah.
and as a parent as well, like the more I was learning these things, the more I started realizing, like, oh my gosh, like what are some of the things I say to my kids? And it helped
Yes.
me. And again, it's coming from a loving place. I'm not trying to,
Right.
my kids are older now, they're in their 20s, but when they were younger, I go back and I think about that and I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, some of the things that we say and how is that impacting their life? And I see
Yeah.
that in them in their life,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The things I used to always say was like, oh, I can't afford it. We
Hmm.
can't afford that, honey. Put it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Wow, did that impact me? And guess what? That's what I
Hmm.
heard. And so scarcity mentality has been a huge limiting belief in
Yeah.
me and still is in me, that I still want to be, very conscious of when I'm making and saying things. And I've had to
Hmm.
reframe that with my children as adults. I'm like, I don't want you to
Yeah.
say you can't afford it. How about you say, how can I make this happen, Mom? Like, I
Right.
really want to buy this camera. Like, how can I raise some money? How do I do more so that I can get it? Instead of
Right.
locking it down and saying, no, you
Yeah.
can't afford it, so you can't go chase those dreams,
Hmm.
right? So,
Right.
but I'm sorry, I went off on a little tangent
No,
there.
you're good. No, I think that's important. I mean, we didn't get to that, but that's definitely, I mean, it's a big part of it. And I actually had a conversation with a mutual friend of ours yesterday, and she was just talking about, because she's kind of working through your workbook a little bit, and she was sharing a couple of things, and of just of a situation that happened when she was younger, and how much that has influenced so much of her life and her decisions. And then we had this conversation back and forth about that, about like what were some of those things that we heard over and over again that maybe they weren't meant to be harmful. I don't know. Mine was a little bit more, more felt like it was pretty directive. But I was in high school, so I was a little bit older. But like how much those different experiences in our life trigger those limiting beliefs that we hear. I'm used to saying soundtracks because I use that word a lot about that, where we play over and over and over again in our mind those negative thoughts that come up. And so I think it's so important, because I know for a fact that conversation that I had with a high school biology teacher, they mentioned something to me, because I decided to drop the advanced bio and I went into regular bio because I had just gotten over mono. I didn't want to do anything with sciences. It just wasn't my interest. And he brought out newspaper articles in front of me saying that these are people that didn't work hard or push through obstacles, and now they never amounted to anything. So I would therefore never be successful because I was quitting. I'm like, what a terrible thing to say to a student who was trying really hard. But just, and I knew that, and I was so thrilled to be out of his class. And I learned probably had more fun in biology than I ever would have been struggling through that. But that stuck with me. I can still remember the articles. Like, I don't remember what they said, but I remember the newspapers laying out there. And I thought, that spoke so heavy on me, and I carried it with me so long. And to remember that still, being 51, and I was probably, like 16, 17 years old, like that's huge to think about that. So those recognizing those different things are huge in that journey of that growth too, because I think I can see where that held me back in so many ways, being afraid of being successful because, or being afraid I'll never be successful because I made a decision back when I was a teenager. So, all right, I'm done. I'm not going to be successful because I was a quitter back when I was 16. And I'm probably one of the hardest workers. Like, I worked so hard and moved towards the things that are important to me. But when I have the limiting beliefs, I can hear that in my mind still, like, oh, well, you're not successful because he said you quit. So you're never going to be. So I think that's huge to explore those different things that we've heard for sure.
Well, I think that that is so important what you just said right there, because everybody has that voice in their head, whether it be a parent or a friend or, for the little ones sitting in a group with friends and saying, you can't, we don't want you to play with us, or everybody's
Hmm.
got that. But what you do in that moment is you want to stop yourself and just say, like, understand, first of all, people what's the voice we're going to allow to speak into our life? This is that
Right,
moment of faith right here. and
right,
and knowing that, are we going to allow hurting people, because everybody on this earth, they
right,
are hurting people.
right.
They've all got their own limiting beliefs. They've all
Yeah.
what you can kind of think about, what are some of the limiting beliefs he might have, right?
Right,
Maybe it
right,
makes him feel superior to let other people go down. So he wants to have that control over his students or whatever. We don't
right,
know. But I think
right.
that's so important to address and understand that straight up.
Hmm.
Nobody is perfect.
Hmm.
Okay. And hurting people are going to say things because they haven't thought it all through and thought to themselves, oh, what impact is that going to have on little Stephanie if I say that?
Right,
Now, we know that now, Stephanie, because we've been
right,
doing work for years and years
right,
and years, right?
right,
And it's still easy sometimes to just let something come out of your mouth and then you're like, oh crap, I shouldn't have said that.
right.
Right? So,
Yeah.
but if you really think about this, people don't take the time to actually learn and understand the
Mm-hmm.
impact of what their
Hmm.
words are making on other people. They don't. And
Absolutely.
that's where, like, this type of work, you might think, okay, I'll take some time, I'm going to learn about this, but it ripples off into every other
Mm.
relationship you have in this world when you start
Yeah,
learning this. There's a far bigger impact of all of this. And
yeah.
so that's why it's important for us to educate ourselves. We want to have a better life,
Mm.
then we want to take the time to educate ourselves in this area and learn whatever we can to make our life better so we can step into doing more and showing up differently in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found like as I was still going through your workbook, so we're jumping all over, but that's okay.
Yes,
It's
we are.
exciting, it's
It's
fun.
fun. It's
But I was
fun.
going through your workbook, going through the first module, and I love how you have like identifying those limiting beliefs, like from the beginning and all the different ones. And it was cool to look through that as you work through that, as you start to understand them, you can go through. And I remember thinking, I remember feeling that and feeling that and feeling that. But I'm like, I now like look at that and think, I remember how I used to think of that and now how I've learned how to reframe those thoughts. And it was really cool to see because as you work, as you take the time, those things can shift. And so I think that's what's so exciting about it is that you're going to help other people walk through and be able to identify what those things are and then reframe them and learn how to see them differently. It doesn't mean like we've talked about those they'll creep up back again, but then we have the tools, we have the ways that we can now flip that switch and look at it in a different way. And it's so exciting. So that you can do that. And I shared that with a couple of friends. I quick sent them a voice message. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just do this. And I'm like, I can't believe how much growth I saw in myself as I've worked through this. And so it's really cool. That you have this available for people so that they can start in their journey and learn. And it takes it's a journey. It's definitely not something that's just, poof, I read a book and I'm healed. Like it doesn't work that way. But as you work through the process, you get stronger. So that's awesome. So I mean, I'll show you. This is my book here. So it's
Yay.
so exciting, so wonderful. So I think that your workbook, it's obviously I'm talking about it. It's a great tool that puts everything together. So, let's tell everybody a little bit about this, like what they experience as they walk through this.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. What's funny is that my workbook was never even on my radar.
Mhm.
I started building a course. So I've got an online digital course, and it's called Breaking Free from Limiting Beliefs. And so what I've done is I've created like 4 modules in there. We're starting with taking a look at like the origin of the limiting beliefs, like you were saying, or
Mhm.
recognizing them, finding the origins of where they came from, and then we start reframing them. And so looking the first part honestly is even knowing that they're there. And that's why I put
Mhm.
a checklist is to kind of trigger things and prompt things because sometimes we're like, nope, I'm good. Like I don't need this. But then you start looking through the list and checking them off and realizing that it's like, wow, I do think that, or I did think that before in the past, and I have
Yeah.
overcome. So that's super important. But the goal, with the course is I started creating it and then I was making worksheets for my
Mhm.
students as they're going through the course to actually fill out. And so then I was talking to a friend of mine who's a publisher, and she said to me, she was like, you really should make this into an actual workbook for people to be able to, just get it on Amazon, whether they
Mhm.
want to do the actual course, the digital course, or the workbook, regardless, they could do them together or
Yeah.
independently. And that made me really happy because I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
I don't there are people that might feel intimidated doing a digital course. And really, all that is I'm walking you through all of
Mhm.
the lessons and modules. That's all it is. I'm a
Yeah.
visual learner. I like somebody teaching me, but there's
Right.
also independent learners that just want to kind of do it at their own pace. So there's kind of something for everybody. But
Mhm.
the way I have it all sectioned, I've got my little post-its here everywhere,
Mhm.
is, it's going to be helping you through module 1 is going to be identifying your limiting beliefs, the origins, the impact, and the lessons. And there's journaling prompts in each one of these that are going to ask you prompting questions about your life. Okay,
Mhm.
so I can teach people all day long. We can listen to podcasts all the time. We can do all kinds of personal development seminars. And that's what I've done for the past 20 years. I've done all
Mhm.
the seminars. I'll listen to all the podcasts. I've got a million books on my bookshelf,
Yeah.
but I wasn't really knowing how I fit into the picture of it. Like, I'm like, yeah, tidbits here and there. But this is designed for people to put pen to paper and really do some soul searching and
Mhm.
understanding how is this showing up. And there is a magnificent increase to your success when you put
Mhm.
pen to paper. Okay,
Right.
so if we just think about these wonderful thoughts, we're going to forget them. But when you actually sit down and you write them and put your
Yeah.
story into it, and I put a lot of thought into the questions that are in there for a reason. So we're going to visit the past a little bit. We're going to recognize some of the beliefs. Now we're going to take a look at the impact that it's having on your life. Then we're going to take a look at imposter syndrome, which is a really big deal. We're going to look at
Mhm.
the fear of failure. We're going to look at how positivity impacts your life. We're going to talk about your value system. We're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to talk
Mhm.
about walking you from I can't to I can, and how to set the goals, what type of goals you can set, how to stretch yourself in those goals, how to create the accountability around that. And
Mhm.
I'm just so excited. I'm so
Mhm.
excited for what this can do for people. Again, like I mentioned at the very beginning, this is definitely something that was a very, very big limiting belief. Um, of myself, like, who am I to do this and who's going to take me seriously and all of the things. But I call it a holy push. God is like, you're doing it. And
Mhm.
it was created in a very, very uncertain time in my life, a lot of changes. And it's in my workbook, and I share about it in my
Mhm.
course as well. Just in very very challenging times, but it was the one thing that got me up every morning to get in that creative
Mhm.
space with God that really helped me feel like even in the hardships that we were going through in that time, that this was one thing that I looked
Mhm.
forward to doing and having that time with God. And I didn't know what it was going to look like or how it was going to show up and create and be brought out into the world. I just put my head down and I did the work. And
Mhm.
I'm so thankful for the growth that I've had this past year in just bringing this into life, the challenges, the
Mhm.
overcoming all of the things that it's like God was working and working and working, and He like spit me out as a different, more confident woman. And that's just
Mhm.
what He does for us.
Yeah.
That's just what He does for us if we trust
Yeah.
Him and just follow His guidance. And that's
Right.
just my biggest encouragement to everybody out there. This isn't about what I've done, it's about
Right.
you taking a look inward of what you can do.
Right.
To just trust Him more and step into who He is calling you to become and to step
Mhm.
into becoming. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh goodness, we could talk like forever
we
about
could.
all these different things. But I would love to, if there's anything that we haven't touched on or anything that I haven't asked you that is really on your heart that you wanted to share today, or something that you're like, oh, I want to make sure I say this.
Yeah, I just, as you're moving forward in life and chasing your dreams or stepping into somebody that you really have always felt you want to step into becoming and you're just scared and those lies start creeping up in your mind. I just want you to stop and say, is that really true? Is it a fact?
Mm.
Is that a fact?
Mm.
And when you really think about it, prove to yourself that in other areas that you've accomplished success in your life and tell yourself those are lies. I can
Right.
be successful. I am a daughter of God.
Mhm.
And ask yourself the next question. What would God say about that?
Right.
What would if I ask God that answer, am I
Mhm.
not enough? How would he
Mm.
answer that?
Right.
And I just encourage you because honestly, that's the starting spot for you. And don't limit yourself to what God is
Mm.
doing in your life. Your story is going to make a big impact in this world. And the biggest
Yeah.
hardships that we go through and the way we overcome them is our story.
Right.
And we can go victim to it. We could go victim to our past, or we could say, how did this happen for me? And how am I going to glorify God and how he got me through? And I
Right.
just want to encourage everybody to just take that step of
Mhm.
faith, of surrender. And I would love to be able to walk alongside of you, or if it's not me, take a look at whatever podcast, find a community of support that can, surround yourself with people who are moving forward. And that's a very important piece to your growth and moving forward. So,
Yeah, well, that's beautiful. And everything that you say, yes, yes, and yes. And I think it's things that it's common themes that I talk about here too, all those different steps that we're taking. It's just my passion too. So to be able to just understand how wonderfully made God has, he has made you. He has just, I always say that you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. And that's because God has equipped you for all of that. And so, it's time to step in and seek him and see what he says about you and be able to really kick those limiting beliefs out of the way and step into the amazing purpose that he has for you. So I just love that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Lori, just before we go, I'll make sure I put all this in the show notes, but just let everybody know how they can get your workbook and how they can get to be more in your space if they want to be.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, you can check out my website. It's lauriedufresnecoaching.com. And then if you follow me on Instagram, I've got a little link tree there and it gives you links to like all of the things, resources, podcasts I've been on. Just follow me on Instagram and you can stay closely connected. And then also my workbook can be found on Amazon. But if you go to my website under resources, that's what I'm going to tell you to point you to going there because I've got a lot of free resources there as well to get you started on the journey. And then you could take a look at my courses. I've got more courses coming up
Mm.
and more workbooks coming up for different topics. And I'm really,
Awesome.
really excited about it. So yeah, I would say just go to my website under the resources section.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, okay. So I know everybody's going to want to go there. So make sure that you do. And again, I'll put all of that in the show notes. Friends, this has been amazing. And I hope that it's inspired you to take a little bit of that step to move. What's that next first step that you can work towards? shifting those beliefs that you have been holding on for so long, and look at what could possibly be different if you could even reframe even one of them and how much it could shift in your life. So friends, as I just said, you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care.
Thank you for joining me on Flourish. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take your next step with confidence. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs this encouragement. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at steph.book and join our Facebook community of faith-driven women who are ready to flourish. Make sure to check out the show notes for all the ways we can connect and continue this journey of growth together. My friends, remember, you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care.